Hello listeners, and welcome to another week on Chasm Converses. My guest this week is Serena Ittoo, solo artist and life coach, joining me from Enfield in London. This chat has so much in it, from Serena's beginnings in music, writing lyrics at 9 years old, to becoming a life coach and using disciplines to write and create music, which led to her first single, Nature Foreseen, that we also discuss, and you're also hearing it right now. There's also some talks on classic iPods, and we hint at each other's Spotify Wrapped for 2023. Join us, and let's get conversing. Chasm Converses. Serena Ittoo, welcome to Chasm Converses.
Thank you for having me.
It's so wonderful to meet you. Whereabouts are you joining me from?
So I'm from Enfield in London.
Oh, sweet, awesome. I'm in London at the moment, more so like southwest, I believe. So like, yeah, a bit down there, but yeah, it's awesome. Whereabouts is Enfield?
So I wouldn't say it's like too far out from Hertfordshire. I'm not like properly into London, so yeah. North London, but not too far off from Hertfordshire.
Are you like in one of those places where you have to like catch a bus and you have to pay for the bus like on the bus when you get to your place? Or can you use like the Oyster card to get to that area?
Yes, I think I can use my Oyster card, but I don't really take much buses. Weirdly enough, my dad, he works for Arriva buses, so you'd think that I'd be like used to it and things like that, but no.
Yeah, right. No, that's cool. No, because yeah, every now and then when you go outside London, you have like once there's like a border of like it closes off from London, so it's like, oh, you can't use your Oyster past this sort of place or whatever, and then you have to start like paying money on the bus to get from different places to different places, which is just another great joy of living in London. You don't realize that until you sort of get.
I got fooled by this one time because I was going to be able to just pay. I guess, like I said, I don't take buses. I thought I was going to be able to just pay to get on, but they were like, no, you need an Oyster card, and I was.
Oh man, so rough. But either way, it's so great to have you here. And I'm obviously really keen to talk to you about your newest single, Nature Foreseen, that came out not too long ago. And as well as that, just talk to you a little bit about yourself and that sort of thing. Because I mean, this is very much a podcast about creatives and people who are creative. And you seem to me to be quite the creative person with so many different things that you do. So, I mean, I'd love to ask you firstly, like, you know, where your kind of inspiration for music came. Was it something that you sort of did a bit earlier on in life, or did you sort of discover it a bit later on?
Oh, great question. So I've always loved singing, and my mum always says that since like 3 years old, I was always singing around the house. So she picked up on my love for singing and just encouraged it and nurtured it, and always, she never like put pressure on me to like go into music or anything like that. It was more monitoring what I want to do and if I'm passionate about it. And I just was singing throughout all of primary school, had singing lessons and things like that. Wow. Started songwriting at 9 years old, so quite young. And I was always able to like pick up on the power of emotion from really young. So I loved like listening to artists and being like, why are they feeling like that? And wow, the music's like this and this is how I feel. And so I kind of used that as like my outlet growing up, and went to university, did songwriting, music production. And from that I was like, yes, I really want to go into this now. Wow,
that's amazing. I'm curious, what songs did you used to sing when you were much younger around the house and stuff?
Oh, so many songs, but the one when I'm talking about like the power of emotion, and my mum tells the story all the time. Oh, okay. It's Will Young, Leave Right Now. So when I would hear that, and bear in mind I was only like 4 years old or something when the song came out, and I remember hearing it and I'd be like, Mum, why is he really, really upset? He sounds really upset. And I'd be like, oh my gosh. And I think from that it was like, oh, you can use your voice to like articulate, like you can get emotion out from singing and things like that. So yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, no, you can use like, you know, your emotion and your voice to sort of articulate your own sort of emotion, your own sort of feeling of like, I guess obviously like how you're feeling and that sort of thing, which is so great. I love the fact that you really clicked into that like really young, because sometimes it takes people like kind of getting older to really kind of experience like what some lyrics kind of mean until they sort of feel it for themselves. But I love that you started just like songwriting and that kind of stuff so young, around like 9 years old. Like, my goodness, that's just like, did you like write lyrics at 9 years old, or were you just like playing an instrument at 9 years old, or like what was that sort of going on there?
I think for me, it was just writing lyrics and melodies. So I couldn't play any instrument at 9 years old, not well enough to write and kind of have the music for it. So
Yeah,
it was literally just a melody that I had in my head. And I
that's
loved
so cool.
poetry. So,
Yeah, right. No, I love that. It's for me. It's like, because I started songwriting. I mean, like, I got into music quite kind of, I guess, like, I didn't say late, but kind of late, like near the back end of high school. And so, like, I mean, I always loved music when I was younger, but I just never really pictured myself doing music, like, recording and singing and that kind of stuff itself. So, like, I never really started to songwrite until I started to have, like, kind of like, when you're in high school and you've got like those kind of like, the world sort of starts to seep in a little bit and you're around different people and stuff, and you kind of start to be a little bit angsty and you're kind of like, yeah, now I'm gonna, so I sort of started writing things in that respect. So like, yeah, I'm just like, wow, what would a 9-year-old sort of write about in a songwriting sense? Do you have any, do you remember any of them at all?
So it's so weird because I like to say that with my songs, they're kind of guided by my higher self. And obviously at 9 years old, I wasn't thinking, oh, my songs are guided by my higher self and
Oh,
things
wow,
like
yeah.
that. There's one song and it's quite deep, and the lyrics are, if you love me so, you won't betray my trust, you won't lie to me, what you say, what you say.
Wow.
And obviously there was nothing really like badly going on in my life. It was more like hearing a song on the radio and being like, oh, I want to be like that, I want to write
Yeah,
like
right.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, so deep songs. I know there was one where I'm a Catholic Christian and
Right.
I believe in angels, and there was one, and I remember like ringing my mum on the phone. I actually remember this when I was like 10 or something.
Love
I was
this.
like, Mum, I've written a song, and then I was screaming down the phone. I was like, angels are in my heart, angels are the. So some songs are not going to be great at 9, 10 years old, but at least it's writing.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, there's some songs that, people write these, like, as in, like, first songs they're writing, at the age of, bloody, 20, 30 years old, and they're not that great. So, like, I mean, when you first start, like, I guess, sort of songwriting, you go through, like, the bumps and be like, okay, and you find what my niche is, or find what my kind of best character sort of part of it all kind of is. And it only takes, as I said, I can't remember who said this, but I've heard this be said so many times. Sometimes you've got to write like, 1,000 bad songs until you find your one good song or something like that. It was around that kind of a notion. But hell, I mean, you got a fast track sort of start at 9 years old. So like, yeah, no, that's absolutely brilliant. I love the fact that that's something that sort of accompanied you on your sort of your journey to, writing music and stuff. So I guess like when you were much older, did you sort of follow music in through like high school and like further on? Like, did you go to college and such?
Yeah, so in secondary school, I was writing quite a lot, and I think it was more like to process my emotions of like different things that were going on in school. And it's so weird because I feel like it's just to get my emotions out. So sometimes I'm not thinking about, oh, it needs to be a really good song, but some of the songs I wrote then have carried on to like Nature Foreseen was written in 2020 in lockdown. And I didn't think to myself, this is going to be released. It was more for myself.
Yeah.
But I think when I went to university, that was when I was writing so much more material. And then it kind of went really.
No, I think that's really cool, especially if like, it continues on as you obviously progress and all the rest of it. And so, yeah, like I love the fact that you said that Nature Foreseen was done in 2020, because sometimes that happens and it's so weird when you sort of have a song and you have an idea and it's sort of just like your own kind of thing, and then like you end up putting it out like a lot of time forward in the future, and then people kind of ask you about that song, and it's like, yeah, I wrote that song so long ago. You have to sort of think back to like all the stuff that kind of came with it. Like bands are like that a lot. Like when they have like they've written, I mean, like for example, like my own band, the songs that we have coming out soon are songs that I've had in the bank for the last 2 years. It's kind of like I've had to rewrite some of those songs because, my points and my mindset has changed so much since then. And it's like, oh shit, I need this to be like relatable and like, pure to what I think. And like back in the day it wasn't. So now it's like, okay, no, I've got to switch them around and whatever. That's a big ask when like you've got a song that you've already sort of learned and you've done it. And now it's kind of like, oh no, now I've got to fill in the gaps and new lyrics and all that kind of thing. But no, I'd love for you to talk to me about sort of Nature Foreseen, because it's such I was listening to it actually today on the tube home. I listened to it a few times, the last couple of days, which was really nice. But today I actually listened to it in like a playlist with a few of my favorite pop songs from the 2000s, because that's sort of what it kind of reminded me semi of. And it was between Samantha Mumba's Gotta Tell Ya and Overload by the Sugar Babes, and it fit in perfectly.
Yeah, I love that song. I know both of those songs. That's
Oh,
awesome.
brilliant. I love that. But no, like I thought it was no, I think it's a really great song. I really feel like it's got a, early 2000s kind of pop influence, but like more so like stripped back and like modernized for, the current day, which is, right up my alley. So yeah, like what was your kind of process in wanting to write it? As you said, was it just sort of a song that you just poured some emotion into and just sort of left it on the shelf to not kind of be used, but also just be for yourself?
Yeah, so definitely like to get some emotions that I was suppressing to get it out of me. But it was lockdown and I kind of kept myself on a timetable, so I wasn't just
Mm.
sitting around doing nothing. And
Yeah.
I told myself with my songwriting, I was going to do it as like a free writing challenge, so I don't put too much pressure on myself for like writing for anything but myself. And the funny thing about Nature Foreseen was it was a free writing challenge. So I had like an hour and a half or something like that
Hmm.
until my mum finished work. And I said, okay, I'm not going to put any pressure on myself. I'm going to take my guitar, I'm going to go upstairs, and I'm just going to see what comes out. And weirdly enough, when I took the pressure off of me and said, Serena, just whatever comes out, let your emotions pour out. When
Mm.
I did that, the song wrote for itself, and
Yeah.
I didn't really change much from what it was from that writing session.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's great. I mean, again, especially with lockdown, because I was in Adelaide, South Australia, when the lockdown came on. Obviously, almost 3 years ago now. I guess it was so different over here compared to what it was over there. Like, what was your kind of? I mean, it was something that affected so many of us. What was your sort of way in kind of dealing with it? I guess obviously you've said that, giving yourself a free writing challenge, which is, I think, perfect. Like, it sounds like it's really great just to help you structure your creativeness in the midst of obviously having to stay at home.
definitely, so that was definitely one of it. But training was so important to me throughout
Right.
lockdown. I've got a personal trainer and I invested in him. And when lockdown happened, one of the things that I was like, oh my gosh, was it was literally training gets me through things. And I lost my
Yeah.
best friend to bone cancer in June 2019,
Oh, wow.
unfortunately.
Okay.
And training was what kept me going. I loved seeing my trainer Richard and things
Hmm.
like that. So when lockdown happened, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to keep this up. So
Yeah.
for me, I turned like my sitting room into like a playground, and it was bad because I was going up and down the stairs for my cardio,
Yeah.
and neighbors were like banging on the walls like,
Oh,
can you
wow.
stop? For me, obviously, I tried to be a bit more quiet, but that
Mm.
kept me going, just kind of doing what makes me feel good. Vocal practice. I did these things called emotion techniques as well. So I told
Right.
myself I'd give myself a cover challenge and do a cover song and focus on like the emotion of it. And so I was able to do things that I wanted to do, but that
Yeah.
was that was through me being like I had like a period where I was like, oh, getting down about lockdown as everyone, but there are worse things going on. So
Yeah,
then
exactly.
mindset, and I was like, okay, gonna keep myself busy.
I love that. That's so good. I mean, it was such a like crazy time for so many people, and again, so many people like they kind of just wasted a lot of the time, or they watched TV, or they kind of just sat in. I mean, I know I did that for a time, so I'm completely guilty of that. But no, I love the fact that you just really try to structure what you were doing, and training is like a perfect way to do that. Do you sort of train for something in particular, or is it just really just to keep yourself healthy and fit?
Yeah, I would say it's just more to keep me healthy and fit. I do it more for my mental health as opposed to
Mm.
like physical health and things like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it makes me feel happy, and I always find now that it's a part of my everyday routine, it helps me, like it sets me up for the day. I feel really focused once I train.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'd love to ask you actually, because you also, I think you're a life coach too, yes?
Yes.
That's
I
incredible. How did that all come along? Because I'm keen to know about that.
Yeah, so I'm a master NLP practitioner and a life coach, but my mum's a mentor and she's a coach. So I've always been really inspired by her.
Hmm.
And for me and my older brother, she's always kind of whether it was us at school or anything like that, we were always on personalized development plans, and it would be like
Nice.
goals to help us with our subjects at
Mhm.
school or the goals that we want to achieve. And from that, I thought, no, I really want to do this as well, and I'm passionate about coaching as well. So
That's
that's
brilliant.
what.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's like that's so cool. Like I listen to a lot of this kind of a lot of like personal development stuff every day for myself. I've been doing it like obviously for like quite a while now actually, which has been quite nice. But like wow, I can't even imagine what it would be like kind of growing up with that kind of stuff implemented into like, a younger person growing up. Like like it must have been so just grateful and like helpful for you just to, set really good goals and have a good idea about goal setting, especially when it came to doing creative things or even just doing just, like studying in general, like making sure that you weren't like, procrastinating or doing that kind of stuff. Like you could actually set your mind to something and actually do it. I love the fact that you had a guardian to be able to do that for you, and then obviously to further inspire you to do it. Like, wow, awesome.
Yes, I think it definitely helped. I think I feel like it should be encouraged a lot more in school, as in like
Mm,
having people, like having someone to sit with you
mm,
individually and be like, okay, so these are your goals and this. I know that teachers do it, but have
mm.
that one, and I was very lucky that my mum was able to do that for me.
I completely agree with you. I mean, I currently assist teaching in a school in Notting Hill, which is just wonderful. Year two, so very, very young. But even so, I think that would be an amazing thing to do, just to like, mentor them and sort of get them on a great thinking course of, wanting to sort of pursue something or like just even just setting goals and attaining those goals, because it gives them an idea of how to reach their goals at such a young age that it obviously then multiplies to when they're much older. That's yeah, wow, awesome. I love that. Do you I'd love to talk to you about like, habits and stuff, because a lot of us with like music and creatives and that kind of stuff, like we obviously try our best to get into good habits, but obviously bad habits can sort of fall into place. And when it comes to writing songs or when it comes to performing that kind of stuff, it can be hard to sort of like, get yourself in the best kind of shape mentally and the best sort of way to be able to perform and whatever. How do you find kind of like going into or like dealing with new habits or trying to train yourself into better habits to try and get yourself out of like older ones and ones that don't really do you much justice?
Yes, I would say it's really tough. And that links to NLP actually, as in
Right.
neuro-linguistic programming and reprogramming your mind to break a bad habit to
Mm-hmm.
have like new, better ones to help you.
Mm.
I think a lot of the time it's about being committed to changing it. I feel like
Mm.
if you're committed to like changing a habit, for example, I was actually speaking to my music mentor. He's my guitar teacher. He was my guitar teacher, but he's like everything but my guitar teacher. He's my life coach, and
Right.
I was talking to him about writing songs and how I want to get into the habit of just writing all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
not as in like writing like songs every single day, but
Yeah.
doing something, whether it's just lyrics or free writing or poetry or melodies or things like that.
Mm.
And I realized to get into that habit, what was stopping me was just myself. There's no
Right.
reason why I can't just write it and get my laptop out. And
Yeah.
most of the time, I feel like you need to want to get into that habit, even if you kind of gave yourself rewards.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of helping that to like become.
No. Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree with you. I've been trying to do that myself, because I mean, over where I currently am, it's very difficult to write music because I'm sort of just in like a house where I'm staying in someone else's room and all their stuff is still there. So I can't actually build my own little, like, I can't really build my own little sanctuary around me. So it's sort of something that I've had to kind of do it out for around 9 months now, which has sucked. But like, even just trying to get into good habits every day, like you say, like, going to like training and just like keeping in good shape and making sure that your mental health is in check and making sure you look after yourself. Like, it's really great things that you can sort of put into being a creative, as well as being like, ready to take on every challenge every single day and all that kind of stuff. Because as I said, with like creatives and people in general, it can be very difficult to, attack every day the best you can and want to songwrite every single day. But I love the fact that, you've gotten yourself into a spot where you can sort of just do something creative in your area, which is obviously songwriting, whether it is like, poetry or like, just writing a song or coming up with even just like a lyric or a melody line every day, to make sure that you sort of, you've done that one thing every day that you knew you wanted to do. But as well as that, let's go back into the song, yeah? Because like, as I said, it's an awesome song. What was kind of your decision to want to put the song out? Because I remember you said that it was just kind of a song for yourself. So what was sort of the motivation to release it and make this your first single that you've ever put out?
Yeah, so when I obviously wrote it in 2020 lockdown, I was in second year of university, and I felt like, I have third year. I knew that I wanted to like be a music artist, but I thought I've got third year and I may be writing lots of I may go through different experiences and I may want to put that out instead. But I think once I finished university and I was going through my songs, I thought to myself, Nature Foreseen's really raw, and I feel like I wanted like my first material, because obviously I'm an independent artist starting out. I wanted like the first songs that come out from me to represent me as a person. And although I feel like the songs are really deep song and it's not the happiest of songs, I feel like you can get a real sense of my authenticity and personality and values in a way through that song. So for me, it felt like a no-brainer to put that one out first.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, as an independent artist myself, you sort of want to try and shine and highlight your best kind of features and your own sort of, I guess, your own values and such, as you said. And yeah, no, I can definitely sort of hear that with the song as I listen to it myself. I'm sure there are many, many fans who also have found that out as well. And so it's quite cool, because when obviously you write your first one, now it's kind of like, oh wow, like I'd love to write another one, I'd like to put another one out. Is it one of those things where you've sort of written a few over the years that you've kind of got in the bank that now you're sort of deciding which one to kind of slide in as like the next one? Or is it something where you would decide to do something completely kind of new, or still keep that kind of like, stripped back sort of niche that you've got going on?
Yeah, so I have it's a 3-single campaign. So this was the debut single. I've got 2 other singles lined up. But this is really interesting because I have to admit, since putting out Nature Foreseen, I've thought to myself, it's weird because I like the fact that this is like my starting single, but I want to write new material because, again, this was written a while back. It's made me think about what type of artist I want to be and what I want to give out to the world. So I'm not going to be putting too much pressure on myself, as in like Christmas period, Serena, write so many songs so that you can have a new song by the next single. But it has inspired me to be like, I do want to write new material.
Yeah, brilliant. No, that's wonderful. Absolutely love that. And yeah, and I also saw you have a really cool music video that you put out with this one as well. Like, whereabouts now? There was a forest in this video as well. Is that a forest somewhere in London?
No, so this was actually all filmed in Hastings.
Oh, right. Okay.
Director Marcus Mashwitz, he's fantastic. He lives Hastings, so he knows it really well. He's done a couple of music videos for other artists there as well. And when I was doing a photo shoot with Marcus originally, he was helping my press photo shoot, and I had no idea that he did music videos. And then he was showing me that he had done it for other artists, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'd love for him to help me direct and Nature Foreseen. And he doesn't really do independent artists, so I thought I'd just ask and see what he says. And he said yes. He listened to the song and he says Hastings is perfect because there's a forest there, there's a beach there, we can hire out, and near the forest there he has 2 friends who have a house near it, so we were able to kind of set up a mini studio in one of the bedrooms, so that was another scene. And then in the basement we managed to set up lights and stuff to kind of have another kind of shot there.
That's so cool. Yeah, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, there's a lot of scenes in this video. I wonder where she went to get this shot, because there's, like you say, there's a forest and there's a beach, and there's you in a purple light, and I'm like, my goodness, where and I love the fact that they're all just so close together. That's perfect. That would have worked out so well.
It did. He's really prepared and organised, so I was able to arrive on the day and be like, okay, so I'm here for this, and that's too far away and things like that. And we got it done within the day as well. So
was this in the summer period, or was it more cold around there? Because it looked like it was quite bright.
Yes, it was in August. It was good. The weather was good to us, but I have to admit, the beach, it was freezing cold.
I was going to ask, did you go in the water?
Oh no, I think Mops even carried me. He carried me by walking back, so because there was just like water everywhere, and it was
Yeah.
quite so.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yeah. I was around like Eastbourne, that sort of area around the late August for my birthday. And I was around that sort of spot too. And it was, yeah, pretty cold. I mean, I did want to go in the water, but I'm one of those guys I'll go into cold water. But I just didn't have I didn't have a towel, nothing like that to sort of go with. So I kind of just put my foot in. I was like, oh, that's a cold boy. That is.
And didn't go all the way in.
Yeah. No, I did go all the way in Dover. That was awesome. That was
Oh,
great. Although that water bites you, something fierce. That is cold water. Like, oh my goodness. But wow, no, even so, like that's so great that you're able to get yourself a really cool video to, put the song out with, especially because it's always great to tie a vision to the song in which you're, obviously trying to put out to the world and all the rest of it. So, and I love the fact that it's sort of all just kind of tied together, like kind of really well. Was that like your sort of original, like what was your sort of your original thought if you were to do a video? Was it sort of a similar vision to what you had, what you came up with?
I would say so. I think I let Marcus, because I felt from straight away from meeting him with the photo shoot, I thought we're very similar, as in like he's so hardworking and he puts 110% effort into everything that he does. So I just kind of knew that his ideas, it's going to come from his soul, it's going to come from his heart. He heard the song and I could tell that he understood where I was coming from with the song. And when he got, like, for me, I wanted something that showed empowerment.
Yeah.
Because the song's a deep song, but I feel like it takes real courage to be vulnerable with your emotions and be like, this is how I'm feeling. And I feel like with the music video, I wanted to have that like empowering feeling to it. Superhero, that's what he said, as in stand there like a superhero and be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself. This is me. And so I actually see it as a reframe. So the song, it goes through kind of hard emotions and then it gets positive towards the end, as in like more like, okay, I'm going to stand in my power. But I feel like the music is like, this is me standing in my power, and I am.
That's brilliant. That's some real good direction from his end. Like, I feel like he's the kind of guy you want, sort of directing you and telling you what to do and where to stand and all the rest of it too. No, I love that. That's absolutely brilliant. I'd love to also ask you just about, so obviously, because as I said, the song gives me such a sort of a 2000s kind of vibe, especially with like, modernized sort of parts. What were the sort of the artists that you kind of listened to as you kind of progressed through your kind of musical journey? Were you on a bit of a pop like tangent? Did you sort of go off into different sort of genres? Like, let's delve into the music taste a bit.
Yeah, sure. So it's weird because I guess this links to Spotify Wrapped. I find it so weird.
See how we did that? We circled back.
Yes, we did. I feel like every year I'm like, oh my gosh, these are my top 5 artists. And it can change. It changes like every single year. But I would say growing up, I've noticed that I listen to a lot of pop music, which I guess you can hear in my sound, but I do take a lot of influences from like jazz artists and what I would say people that have like, that are influenced by jazz. They may have like a pop genre, but they're influenced by, you can hear that, and R&B artists.
Right.
But yeah, so it changes all the time, I think.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, I've probably said this on this podcast multiple times, but I grew up with a mother who was a personal trainer and like took like fitness classes. So, and a 4-year-old, like an older sister who was about 4 years older than I was. So I got like the Britney Spears, the Christina Aguilera, Delta Goodrum, Backstreet Boys 5, all that stuff just piled on top of me as a young kind of boy growing up. So I'm all into like the 2000s kind of earlier pop kind of sound and that kind of thing. And as I said, I have got my own little playlist with just all that stuff sort of as well that I sort of go back to now and then. And it really does really kind of hit you with the nostalgia. It's like, oh, I love this kind of thing. And it sounds, actually, that's what I was going to say. I was thinking about this on the walk home because like, when were you born?
When was I born, did you say?
Yeah, like what year were you born in?
Oh, 1999.
Oh, right. Awesome. Cool. So you've been like right in almost before like the 2000s and stuff. What was like how did you listen to your music as you were kind of growing up? Were you like around the CD era, or did you like morph into like, the MP3 classic iPod sort of spot?
Yeah, that's so good, actually. I was thinking to myself, even when I released Nature Foreseen, it didn't even cross my mind about CDs, and that's so weird, isn't it? Because now it's just all on like streaming platforms. But I
Exactly.
did like with CDs, I would say it only really changed, as in like streaming platforms and MP3 and stuff like that. I
Mm.
would say I feel like I noticed it a bit more in secondary school.
Right,
So
yeah.
maybe you're right, but no. I kind of miss the whole CD, like
Oh, I
having
do.
CD.
I was saying, like, I love the way that kind of vinyl came back. I never really understood why vinyl came back, but I don't understand why CDs haven't come back yet. Because for like myself and people of my generation, even of those like early '90s to late '90s, like CDs were just they were just a godsend for us to have at that time, because it was like, yeah, this is our thing. And it's like, you obviously had like mixtapes. It was like, okay, CD mixes, you'd just throw on as many songs as you could onto this like blank CD and hope that you would get like 15 to 16 tracks on it. And then you would just like shove it into your portable CD player, plug your headphones in, and just like carry this thing down the road and go and just listen to it as you went.
I like that. My mum actually, when I was younger and my brother was younger, she used to love like creating story tapes with music, but
Oh,
she would have
wow.
like different snippets of like different songs and she would fit it to tell a story. And she would do that. She would have like a tape, but like like MP3, but tape
Mm.
and like put lots of songs onto it, but telling a story.
That's so cool. I love that. I will finish off with obviously finishing off with the whole Spotify Wrapped thing, because we were talking about this spot before the podcast started. I was just going through. I have about 5 wraps that I have to go through, and I've gone through 2 of them at the moment. But like, how did your sort of Wrapped go for yourself, and also for your for your first single as well, because that would have been your first single like Spotify Wrapped too. Hey.
I don't even know if I have a Spotify Wrapped for my artist one yet. And I don't know if it's because I've just released, but I can't seem to find it.
Hmm.
But I don't know if I'm just not looking properly or whether it will come in a
I'll
couple
help you
of
out. I'll
days.
help you
But
out.
yeah, that'd be great. But for my actual like personal Spotify, it's really interesting. I feel like it's like a whole year of your like music like played, and I always like when I listen back to it, and they even when they're playing like songs in the background like this is your year and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's great, but this one I will talk about my top song, and
Yeah.
I was wondering when this was going to be my number one song because
Oh, right.
it's "Golden" by Harry Styles, and
Right.
he is
Okay.
an amazing artist, and I love this song and. The song obviously came out in 2020,
Mm.
and I feel like I was listening to it so much in 2020, like so much more then.
Yeah. Right.
But where he released it as a single towards the end of that year,
Mm.
it counted. I think they choose your number one song as a single. But anyway, it was my
Yeah.
number one song for this year.
Wow.
And my top artist is John Bellion
Oh,
for
right.
2020,
Okay.
which is cool. I'm not surprised it's John Bellion, but this is what I mean by it changes every year.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't John Bellion last year, but
Mm.
I think where I feel like I've been listening to artists that I'm like, do you know what? How does he do that? He produces all the music
Yeah.
himself,
Right.
he writes
Okay.
music, and he really like knows his music. And I guess I've been kind of listening to that this year,
Yeah.
and that was the number one for me. What about for
I love that.
yourself?
I haven't done mine for this year just yet. It's one of those things where I have a sneaky suspicion of what it could be, but I'm not exactly too sure yet. But yeah, it's still that same kind of thing, because my thing changes as well throughout the year. This, as I said, this year I did my pop playlist, so God knows what could possibly be on there. Well, amongst my metal life, that also sort of dwindles in there as well. But like even like the last 3 years, like I mean, I think my past 3 top artists have been like Architects, and then Spirit Box, and then Parkway Drive. Spirit Box was like I think last year because they had their first album come out. But then, like, I'm one of those people who just, because when you're much younger, you can't listen to all the songs in the world and all the albums in the world. But now with Spotify, you can. So it's kind of like I'll just discover albums that I haven't heard of for years. But now that I have, I'll just like listen to them all the time, because you have to know what the songs are called. So like last year, I listened to about, you know, 6 Trivium albums for like the first 5 months of the year. and they still made it to like second.
Wow.
Which is
That's the thing.
insane.
There's some songs that came up and I was like, I swear I was listening to that more at the start of this year than I was towards the end. It still comes up.
Yeah, it's good to like things like, I reckon it's this one. It's got to be this one. Then you like sort of see how it's reviewed. It's like, oh man, it's like third. Surely I wasn't that more than that one. These start to pick and choose and whatever. But it's a lot of fun. I do as much as Spotify is like it does its thing. It doesn't pay artists well at all, obviously, but it is very good to be able to give everyone the platform to be able to listen to everyone's song all at once, and obviously gives us nice little statistics here and there about what we listen to personally. So, like in that respect, I really like it, which is great. I think a lot of people on the same page too, because when Spotify Wrapped happens, because social media just fills with just like Spotify Wrapped stories from everybody and everywhere.
Absolutely. I think that's what I realized this year, as in so many people have Spotify, more people than what I originally thought. Because I feel like with the free version of Spotify, it can be a bit painful at times, can't
it? On my Chasm one, it's my personal one's premium, but my Chasm one is free. And every now and then when I'm trying to like re-listen to a podcast to make sure that it sounds good through the Spotify headphones, I'll get like an ad. And it will just like totally throw me off. And I'm like, oh god, it's like when you go on YouTube and you get YouTube ads, but like no one's going to pay for YouTube Premium, man. My school doesn't even pay for YouTube Premium. When that ad comes up in the middle of like the ABC song, you got to wait 5 seconds.
Yeah, so even with Spotify Premium, I only have that because there was like a discount when I was at university. But yeah, I think it's the free version. I think we need a little bit more. Like, a little bit more time without the ads, maybe.
Yes, no, I 100% agree with you. Well, Serena, this has been such an amazing conversation. I can't thank you enough for joining me tonight and talking all about your new single, Nature Foreseen. Listen to it now, stream it now, and all that kind of stuff. And obviously follow yourself on the socials to see your next couple of singles that you've got in the bag. But even so, I wish you all the best on your musical journey. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Caden. Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into the episode this week. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Serena and myself. Go check out her new single, Nature Foreseen. Watch the video and chuck her a follow on the socials. Keep up to date with everything that she's got going on. There are links in the description of this episode where you can find it all. As for myself, follow me on Instagram or YouTube @ThisIsChasm. You can also watch some full-length podcast episodes on my channel featuring chats with Emmy Mack and Laurie Black. And don't forget to please leave a rating or a review for the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. And I'll see you again for a new episode with a new guest here on Chasm Converses.